Your past matters, but it isn't you. How long should someone be judged for something they've already changed? Are we really the same person we were 5 years ago? Even 1 year ago? Even 6 months ago? We change all the time. The way we think changes, the things we believe change, the people we love change, our habits change, our priorities change, and sometimes we change so much that the person we used to be almost feels like a stranger. So, why do we keep judging people by who they used to be? Why do we take someone's worst moments and treat them as if those moments are their entire identity? Maybe it's because the past matters, and it does. Our past shapes us. It tells us what we have done, what we have experienced, what we have learned, and sometimes what we still haven't learned. But there's a difference between saying your past matters and saying your past is who you are. Those are not the same thing. Now imagine someone who spent years living destructively. Maybe they smoked, maybe they drank too much, maybe they were irresponsible, maybe they hurt people. Then one day they decided they didn't want to live that way anymore. So they quit. They changed. They started taking responsibility. They became more disciplined. They started treating people differently. And for years, they continued proving that the person they used to be isn't the person they are anymore. Should we still look at them and say, "You're still the same person"? Or should we be willing to recognize that person can genuinely change? Now imagine the opposite, someone who was once kind, loving, responsible, someone everyone trusted, but over time they become selfish. They started hurting people, they stopped caring, they became someone completely different. Would we defend them simply because of who they used to be? Probably not. And that tells us something. We already understand that people can become worse. So, why is it sometimes so difficult to believe that people can become better? Think about a father who left his wife and child during the first years of his child's life. He abandoned them, and there's no reason to pretend that didn't matter. The child grew up without him. The mother had to carry responsibilities that should have been shared. There is pain, there is resentment, and the history shouldn't magically disappear just because the father eventually came back. But years later, imagine that father returns, and instead of making excuses, he takes responsibility. He acknowledges what he did. He doesn't demand forgiveness. He doesn't pretend the past never happened. Instead, he starts showing up. He supports his family. He spends time with his child. He takes care of them. He does everything he can to make up for the years he lost. And he keeps doing it. Not for a week, not for a month, but for years. At what point do we allow ourselves to say, maybe he really did change? That doesn't mean the past didn't happen. It doesn't mean the child has to forget. It doesn't mean the family has to forgive him. And it certainly doesn't mean that there shouldn't be consequences for what he did. But accountability and identity are two different things. Someone can be responsible for what they did without being permanently defined by it. And I think this is where we misunderstand change. We imagine change as becoming a completely different person overnight. But that's really how it works. Change is usually much quieter. It's choosing differently, again and again and again. It's recognizing a mistake and making the decision not to repeat it. It's apologizing when you hurt someone. It's trying to repair what you damaged. It's becoming aware of the things you once ignored. And most importantly, it's consistency. Because anyone can say, "I've changed," but the real change isn't something you announce, it's something you show. If someone keeps making the same mistakes, they probably haven't changed. If someone refuses to take responsibility, they haven't changed. If someone says they have changed but continues to hurt the same people in the same ways, then maybe their past is still the best indication of who they are. But when someone takes accountability, makes an effort, and constantly behaves differently, at some point we have to acknowledge that the change is real. Otherwise, what exactly do we mean when we tell people to learn from their mistakes? And I think about this when I look at my own past. There are things I used to do that I'm not proud of. I used to smoke. I used to drink. I wasn't very disciplined. I struggled with motivation. I made decisions that I wouldn't make today. But I changed. I stopped those habits. I started working on my discipline. I started thinking differently. And I'm still changing. So, am I still the person I was years ago? Technically, yes. That person existed. I can't erase him. I cannot pretend that those things never happened. And honestly, I don't want to. Because those mistakes are part of my story. They are reminders of who I was. But if I have genuinely changed, why should I spend the rest of my life being treated as though I haven't? That's the problem with judging someone entirely by their past. You are taking a photograph of who they were and pretending it's a live video of who they are. But people aren't photographs. We're constantly moving, constantly learning, constantly becoming. But there's an important distinction here. Saying you are not your past doesn't mean your past doesn't matter. It matters, sometimes deeply. People can be hurt by what we have done. Trust can be broken, relationships can be damaged, and sometimes there are consequences we have to accept. You don't get to hurt someone and simply say, that was the old me. You don't get to use change as an excuse to escape accountability. If you made a mistake, you have to own it. If you hurt someone, you have to acknowledge it. And if you broke something, you should try to repair it. And if you keep repeating the same mistake, then maybe you haven't changed at all. Change doesn't erase responsibility. Change is what you do after accepting responsibility. Our past shouldn't be forgotten, but maybe it should be placed where it belongs, behind us, in the past. Not because it doesn't matter, but because it has already happened. We can't change what we did yesterday. We can go back and make different choices. All we can do is take what the past has taught us and bring those lessons into the present. Because the person you were yesterday can teach you something. They can warn you. They can remind you. They can show you how far you have come. But they shouldn't have complete control over who you are and who you are about to become. Your past can explain you, it can shape you, and it can even follow you. But it doesn't have to define you because you're not finished becoming who you are. And maybe that's one of the most beautiful things about being human. We are allowed to change. We are allowed to grow. We are allowed to become better than the person we used to be. So, don't forget your past. Learn from it. Take responsibility from it. Make peace with it. But don't let it become your identity, because the person you were yesterday may explain who you are today, but it doesn't have to decide who you become tomorrow, because you are not your past.